Welcome to Cerebro Wealth. How the wealthy think about money. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever wondered how much money you can earn in your lifetime? Have you ever thought about how much wealth you can truly build? Let's imagine something. Suppose you could only earn $300,000 in your entire life. Would you accept that? Or would you try to change your destiny? If you don't know how to earn more, there's only one reason. You don't understand money, and you don't understand the mindset behind wealth. Today, I will share some truths about the financial world. These truths may upset some powerful corporations. They may even challenge the interests of certain countries. So I will speak carefully, but clearly enough for you to understand. Here's the first truth. Never think about owning money, because money never truly belongs to you. It belongs to your country. What you need is the right to use money, not the right to own it. Once you understand this, everything changes. You will no longer feel limited by how much you can earn. You will begin to see money as a tool, not a possession. Let me ask you something else. Have you noticed that wealthy people hate holding cash? Let's say I sell some stocks today and make a profit. If I keep that money sitting in my account, I feel uncomfortable. It's similar to how gamblers feel when they're not playing. Yes, the difference between a gambler and a wealthy person is very small. Gamblers use money to take risks. The wealthy use money to buy assets and create passive income. So why don't we like holding cash? Some people say, don't businesses need cash? No. What businesses need most is cash flow. Do you know the difference? Let me explain. Have you heard the term dead money? It means money that doesn't move, money that just sits there and loses value. Imagine this. Parents work hard all their lives. They save every penny for their children. But when they pass away, the money finally gets used. And what once could buy a house now only buys a bathroom. That's inflation. If you don't know how to grow your money, if you only save it in a bank, its value will shrink every day. Still not convinced? Take out your wallet. Look at the bills inside. Do they have your name on them? No. They have the name of your country. So who controls their value? You? Your government? The answer is more complex than you think. I once spoke with a top investment banker. He was a true expert in global finance. He taught me how the rich turn dead money into living money. He also showed me how the world quietly takes wealth from ordinary people. That's why I say this. If you find this message valuable, please like and share it, because one day this video might disappear. This channel exists to help you grow, to help you become an entrepreneur, to help you achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, subscribe and turn on notifications. Now, let me share something practical with you. Part 2, cash flow versus cash. Why the rich think differently. Let me tell you a short story. There was a banker. One day, his son asked him, "Dad, this bank doesn't belong to you. So why do you earn so much money even though you're just an employee?" The father smiled and said, "Go to the fridge and bring me a piece of meat." The son did as he was told. Then the father said, "Now put the meat back into the fridge." The son was confused. He asked, "Dad, are you joking with me? Did I say something wrong?" The father smiled again and said, "No, I'm just giving you the answer." The son looked at his hands. They were covered in meat juice. And then he understood. What did the father mean? He meant this. The rich always borrow money. Why? To keep cash flowing through their hands. As long as money keeps moving, they keep making profits. But don't misunderstand me. I'm not teaching you to steal or do anything illegal. What I'm saying is simple. We need the right to use money, not the right to own it. Let me ask you something else. Do you know the companies behind popular mobile games like Arena of Valor or Honor of Kings? You might say they're game companies. But let me ask again, do these companies really make money from games? You don't pay to download these games, right? They're free. So how do these companies earn money? Here's the truth. They're not just game companies. They're financial companies. Let's break it down. Can a business create money? Legally, no. But think about what money really is. Money has two main functions. First, it's a medium of exchange. Second, it's a measure of value. If I have a seashell and I trade it for a cow, that seashell becomes money. If a cow is worth 1 shell and a pig is worth 10 shells, then the shell becomes a unit of value. So anything that meets these two conditions can become money. Now think about your own company. Can it create money? Let's look at the real world. Have you ever exchanged real money for in-game currency? In online games, you can use this currency to buy outfits or enter lucky draws. How do you get this currency? 2 ways. Either you spend real money or you earn it by logging in and playing. Can this game currency be used to buy things in the real world? Can it be converted back into real money? Yes, in some cases. So now you see, game money and real money can be exchanged. Game currency can be used to buy goods, just like credit card reward points. Have you ever received points from your bank when using your card? Can you use those points to redeem gifts? If you collect enough, you might even exchange them for a house. Legally, this is possible. So here's the key question. If a company can create its own form of money, and if people trust it and use it for exchange, isn't that money? Yes, it is. And this idea has existed for a long time. Smart people figured it out years ago. That's why Bitcoin succeeded. Bitcoin works on the same principle. Its value depends on how many people believe in it. The more people trust it, the higher its value becomes. In today's world, if you're an entrepreneur and don't even have 5,000 followers, how can you build a company? We must stop seeing customers as just buyers. We must see them as fans. Look at Apple, Xiaomi, Tesla, or LG. They don't call their customers customers. They call them fans. We have iFans. We have Apple fans. So what does this mean for you? Let's talk about trading platforms. Do you understand how they really work? These platforms don't make money from transaction fees. They make money from cash flow. They are financial institutions. They are banks in disguise. Imagine this. You deposit $1 million into a trading platform. On their books, they now have $1 million. If 1 million people each deposit $1 million, that's $1 trillion. But the amount isn't the point. The real question is, how do they use that money? Now imagine you wake up and find $1 billion in your account. What would you do? Some people would deposit it in a bank at 2% interest. They'd think they're earning $20 million a year. But financial companies have expert teams. They can earn far more from that same money. That's why the rich always keep cash flowing. They invest it. They use financial leverage. Do you understand now? Even if you're not a financial institution, you must find ways to revive your cash flow. Don't let your money sit in the bank, because when it does, others borrow it and use it to make more money for themselves. If you've listened this far, you now understand how to play the cash flow game. Part 3. The hidden history of money and power. Let me share a piece of history that few people truly understand. There's a book I recommend. It's called Fake, written by Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In that book, he talks about a moment in history that changed everything. It's about how the United States became one of the most powerful nations in the world. Let me ask you, why is America so powerful? There's a famous quote from the Rothschild family. It says, "Whoever controls the money controls the world." If you study history, you'll know that America wasn't always this strong. But something happened that gave them control over more than half of the world's wealth. Let's go back in time. For a long period, humans used gold as money. Gold was trusted. It was used in trade and finance. In 1944, 44 of the world's most developed countries came together and they made a decision. Only the United States would be allowed to produce gold. Other countries could not freely own or create gold. Have you heard of this moment in history? From that point on, gold became the only official currency for global trade. This meant the U.S. could use gold to buy anything from any country. But here's the catch. Only the U.S. could create gold. They controlled the supply. So what happened next? America used gold to buy resources, technology, and talent from around the world. They used gold to attract the best minds. They used gold to build their empire. Because gold was the global standard and only America could produce it, they became the financial superpower. But that's not the most important part. Let me ask you something else. Why is the US dollar called the dollar? At one point, Americans realized that trading gold was inconvenient. It was heavy. It was slow. So they decided to turn gold into paper. They called it the US dollar. Other countries agreed to this system. From that moment, the dollar became the only currency used for international payments. Now, who prints the US dollar? It's the Federal Reserve. Later, President Nixon made a bold move. He ended the gold standard. This meant the dollar was no longer backed by gold. What does that mean? It means the U.S. could print as much money as it wanted. The value of the dollar was now based on trust and economic strength, not gold. But there was a problem. If too much gold flooded the market, its value would drop. So how did the U.S. control gold? They had two options. 1. Mine gold from their own land. 2. Borrow gold from other countries. If other countries refused to lend gold, the U.S. would simply mine more gold, causing the global gold supply to rise and making other countries' gold less valuable. Few people know this. Today, the U.S. has printed over $10 trillion, and the number keeps growing every second. So when I say you should borrow money to buy property, some people ask me, what if housing prices fall? What if I can't repay the loan? What if I go bankrupt? But I ask them back, what if your money keeps losing value? What if the U.S. can't repay its debt? Would you rather hold cash or own assets like real estate and gold? Everyone knows the U.S. is drowning in debt. So why hasn't it drowned like other companies? Because it has power. Let's talk about the future. People are now talking about the metaverse, the virtual world. One day, we may live in a fully digital reality. Before online games existed, did anyone believe we could fight monsters together in a virtual world? Now, with just a smartphone, we can chat, play, and connect through apps and social media. So creating a virtual world is no longer science fiction. When I was a child, I imagined such a world. Maybe it was because I watched too many cartoons. I dreamed of battling Pokemon in a digital universe. But let's get back to the point. Online games already have their own currencies. So in the future, what kind of money will the virtual world use? Will it still be the US dollar? If not, what happens to America? Let me ask you, what do you think? One thing is certain. The amount of cash in the world will keep increasing, and that means cash will keep losing value. We are entering the age of mobile internet. Soon, artificial intelligence and the metaverse will reshape everything. Entire industries will be replaced. You may not see it yet, but every economic revolution is a massive reset. Don't think this is far away. Look at the recent pandemic. It forced many businesses to go online. That was just the beginning. Let me tell you about Jack Ma. After he created Taobao and Alibaba, traditional businesses in China were shaken. Many retail stores disappeared overnight. Consumers now visit shops just to try products, then buy them online for cheaper prices. This is how a tech revolution works. It may not be fair, but it's progress. History has proven this again and again. Some people are already adapting. By the time most people realize the opportunity, it may be too late. The blue ocean will already be taken. I always encourage people to start a business, but I also know that not everyone dares to leave their comfort zone. I started from zero. Those who know me understand my journey. Everything I teach comes from real experience, no luck, no empty theory, just hard-earned lessons from the financial battlefield.
Part 4. Turn dead money into living money. Let me ask you a simple question. Do you know what dead money is? Dead money is cash that sits in your bank account, doing nothing, not growing, not working for you. It's like having a soldier who never goes to battle, a car that never leaves the garage, a phone that never connects to the internet. So what's living money? Living money is money that works. It earns, it multiplies, it creates more money. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have $10,000. You keep it in your savings account. After 1 year, you earn maybe $50 in interest. But inflation rises. Prices go up. Your $10,000 now buys less than it did last year. That's dead money. Now imagine you use that $10,000 to start a small business, or invest in a rental property, or buy shares in a growing company. That money starts working. It earns income. It grows in value. That's living money. Let me tell you something powerful. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. They don't save money. They invest it. They don't fear debt. They use debt as leverage. Let me explain. Most people think debt is bad. They say, don't borrow money. Pay off your loans. Live within your means. But the rich think differently. They say, borrow money to buy assets. Use other people's money to build wealth. Let the bank fund your growth. Let me give you a real example. Imagine you borrow $100,000 from the bank. You use it to buy a property. You rent it out. The rent pays off the loan. And after a few years, the property value increases. You now own an asset worth more than $100,000. And you didn't use your own money. That's smart debt. But here's the key. You must borrow to buy assets. not liabilities. What's the difference? An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. A house you live in is a liability. A house you rent out is an asset. A car you drive is a liability. A truck you lease to a business is an asset. Let me ask you, are you buying assets or liabilities? Most people work hard to buy liabilities. They buy things that look good but don't make money. They buy expensive phones, luxury clothes, fancy cars, but they don't invest in things that grow. Let me tell you a secret. The rich don't always look rich. They look simple, but their money is working behind the scenes. They own invisible assets. What are invisible assets? They're things you can't see, but they generate wealth. Let me give you examples. A website that sells products 24/7. A YouTube channel that earns ad revenue. A digital course that people buy every day. A brand that people trust. A system that runs without you. These are invisible assets. They don't need a physical store. They don't need employees. They don't need your constant attention. But they make money. Let me ask you, do you have any invisible assets? If not, it's time to build one. Start small. Start simple. But start now. Because the future belongs to those who own systems, not just products. Let me tell you about a friend. He started with zero. He created a simple online course. He sold it for $10. Only 5 people bought it in the first month. But he didn't stop. He improved the course. He marketed better. He built a community. Today, that course earns him $10,000 a month, and he spends only 2 hours a week managing it. That's the power of invisible assets. Let me ask you again, is your money dead or alive? Are you working for money, or is money working for you? You don't need to be rich to start. You just need to start smart.
Part 5. Financial Thinking of the Rich. Let me ask you something. Why do most people stay poor? It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're not smart. It's because of how they think about money. Let me explain. Poor people think, I need to work harder to earn more. Rich people think, I need to build systems that earn for me. Poor people say, I can't afford it. Rich people ask, how can I afford it? It's a mindset shift. Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 people. One earns $1,000 a month. He saves $100. He spends the rest on bills, food, and entertainment. The other earns the same $1,000, but he invests $300. He cuts unnecessary expenses. He builds something that grows. After 1 year, the first person has $1,200 in savings. The second person has a small business earning $500 a month. Who's richer? Let me tell you something powerful. The rich don't chase money. They chase value. They ask, how can I solve a problem? How can I help more people? How can I create something useful? Because money follows value. Let me ask you, what problem can you solve? What skill do you have? What knowledge can you share? You don't need to be a genius. You just need to help someone. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who loved gardening. He started sharing tips online. He taught people how to grow vegetables at home. At first, only a few people watched, but he kept going. He built a loyal audience. He created a course. He sold gardening tools. Today, he earns more than most office workers. and he does what he loves. That's the power of value. Let me ask you again. Are you chasing money or are you creating value? Now, let's talk about risk. Most people fear risk. They say, what if I fail? What if I lose money? What if people laugh at me? But the rich ask, what if I succeed? What if this works? What if I change my life? Let me tell you something. Not taking risks is the biggest risk. Because if you do nothing, nothing changes. Let me give you a simple formula. Poor mindset is work, earn, spend, repeat. Rich mindset is learn, build, invest, grow. Let me ask you, which cycle are you in? If you want to escape the rat race, you must break the pattern. You must stop trading time for money. You must start building assets. Let me tell you about leverage. Leverage means doing more with less. There are 4 types of leverage. 1 is money leverage, using other people's money to grow your own. 2 is time leverage, using systems to save time. 3 is people leverage, building teams and partnerships. And 4 is technology leverage, using tools, automation, and AI. The rich use all 4. Let me ask you, are you using leverage or are you doing everything alone? You don't need to be rich to use leverage. You just need to think differently. Let me end with this. The rich don't just earn more. They think better. They act smarter. They take calculated risks. And most importantly, they never stop learning. So let me ask you one last time. Are you ready to think like the rich? Because once your mindset changes, your life will follow.
Part 6. Turn yourself into an invisible asset.
Let me ask you something. In today's world, what is the most valuable asset? It's not gold. It's not real estate. It's not stocks. It's attention. Let me explain. If people know you, trust you, and follow you, you can build anything. You can sell products. You can share ideas. You can create movements. That's the power of personal branding. Let me ask you, do people know who you are? Do they know what you stand for? Do they know what you offer? If not, you're invisible. Let me tell you a secret. In the digital age, your name is your brand. Your voice is your business. Your story is your marketing. Let me give you an example. There's a woman who loves baking. She starts sharing recipes online. She posts videos. She teaches simple techniques. At first, only a few people watch, but she keeps going. She builds a community. She launches her own baking tools. She creates a course. Now she earns more than she did at her full-time job, and she does what she loves. That's personal branding. Let me ask you, what do you love? What do you know? What can you teach? You don't need to be famous. You just need to be consistent. Let me give you a simple formula. Step 1, choose your niche. What are you passionate about? What do you want to be known for? Step 2, share your story. Why did you start? What challenges did you face? What lessons did you learn? Step 3, create content. Post videos, articles, or podcasts. Help people, solve problems, be real, be human. Step 5, offer value. Create products, services, or experiences. Make people's lives better. Let me tell you something powerful. People don't buy products. They buy stories. They buy trust. They buy connection. Let me ask you, are you building your brand? Or are you hiding your value? You don't need a fancy logo. You don't need a perfect website. You just need to start. Start sharing. Start helping. Start showing up. Because in the digital world, your presence is your power. Let me tell you about influence. Influence means people listen to you. They respect your opinion. They follow your lead. And influence creates income. Let me give you examples. A fitness coach who shares tips online. A teacher who creates educational videos. A traveler who documents their journey. A designer who shows their creative process. All of them turn their passion into profit because they built a brand. Let me ask you again. Are you building your brand or are you building someone else's? If you work for a company, you build their brand. If you post without purpose, you waste your voice. But if you build your own brand, you own your future. Let me end with this. In the past, assets were physical. Today, assets are digital. And the most powerful digital asset is you. Your knowledge, your story, your voice. So let me ask you one last time. Are you ready to turn yourself into a living asset? Because once people know your value, everything changes.
Part 7. Building an automatic money-making system. Let me ask you something. If you stop working today, how long can you survive? 1 week? 1 month? 1 year? Most people work hard every day, but if they stop, their income stops too. That's called active income. You trade time for money. You work, you earn. You stop, you earn nothing. Let me tell you something powerful. The rich don't rely on active income. They build passive income. What is passive income? It's money that comes in even when you sleep, even when you travel, even when you rest. Let me give you examples. Rental income from property, royalties from books or music, dividends from stocks, revenue from online courses, affiliate commissions, automated e-commerce sales. These are systems. They work without you. Let me ask you, do you have a system that earns money even when you're not working? If not, it's time to build one. Let me give you a simple formula. Step 1. Identify your skill or product. What can you offer that people want? Step 2. Create it once. Make a course, write a book, build a website, record a video. Step 3. Automate the delivery. Use platforms, tools, and systems to sell it 24/7. Step 4. Drive traffic. Use social media, SEO, ads, or partnerships to attract people. Step 5. Optimize and scale. Improve the system. Reach more people. Earn more with less effort. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who loved photography. He created a simple online course called How to Take Better Photos with Your Phone. He priced it at $19. He shared it on TikTok and Instagram. At first, only a few people bought it. But he kept going. He improved the course. He built a funnel. He automated everything. Now the course sells every day. He earns $300 to $500 daily, passively. That's the power of systems. Let me ask you again, are you building a system or are you stuck in a cycle? Because if you don't build a system, you'll always have to work to earn. Let me tell you something else. Passive income is not easy money. It takes effort to build. But once it's built, it gives you freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to rest, freedom to grow. Let me give you a mindset shift. Poor mindset is,
I need to work harder. Rich mindset is, I need to build smarter. Let me ask you, are you working harder or are you building smarter? You don't need to be a tech expert. You don't need a big team. You just need to start. Start small. Start simple, but start now. Because every system starts with one step. Let me in with this. If you want freedom, you must build systems. If you want peace, you must earn passively. If you want impact, you must scale your value. So let me ask you one last time. Are you ready to stop trading time for money and start building a life of freedom? Because once your system works for you, you'll never work the same way again.
Part 8. Long-term thinking and investing in yourself.
Let me ask you something. Do you live for today or do you build for tomorrow? Most people focus on the short term. They want quick results, fast money, instant success. But let me tell you a secret. True wealth is built over time. True success is a long game. Let me explain. A tree doesn't grow in one day. A brand doesn't build in 1 week. A legacy doesn't form in 1 year. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes vision. Let me ask you, do you have a 5-year plan? A 10-year vision? A lifetime mission? If not, you're drifting. Let me tell you something powerful. The rich don't just invest in assets, they invest in themselves because you are your greatest asset. Let me give you examples. Reading books, learning new skills, attending seminars, building relationships, practicing discipline, improving health, expanding mindset. These are invisible investments. They don't show results immediately, but they compound over time. Let me ask you, when was the last time you invested in yourself? Not in clothes, not in gadgets, but in growth. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who earned very little, but every month he spent a small amount on books, courses, and mentors. His friends laughed. They said, "Why waste money on that?" But he kept going. He learned. He applied. He grew. 5 years later, he built a business. He became a leader. He changed his life. That's the power of long-term thinking. Let me give you a mindset shift. Poor mindset. What's the cheapest option? Rich mindset. What's the most valuable investment? Let me ask you, are you buying distractions or are you buying growth? Because every dollar you spend is a vote for your future. Let me tell you something else. Success is not a destination, it's a direction. It's not about reaching the top, it's about climbing every day. Let me ask you again. Are you climbing or are you standing still? Let me give you a simple formula. Step 1. Define your vision. What kind of life do you want in 10 years? Step 2. Break it down. What skills, habits, and actions do you need? Step 3. Invest daily. Read, learn, practice, reflect. Step 4. Track progress. Celebrate small wins, adjust when needed, stay consistent. Step 5. Stay patient. Don't rush, don't compare, don't quit. Let me end with this. Money can be lost. Assets can disappear. Markets can crash. But your mindset, your skills, your wisdom, they stay with you forever. So let me ask you one last time. Are you investing in things that fade or in things that last? Because once you invest in yourself, you become unstoppable. Part 9. What is true freedom? Let me ask you something. What does freedom mean to you? Is it having a lot of money? Is it traveling the world? Is it quitting your job? Let me tell you something deeper. Freedom is not just about money, it's about choice. The freedom to say yes when you want. The freedom to say no when you need. The freedom to live life on your terms. Let me explain. There are people who earn millions, but they're trapped. Trapped in meetings, trapped in pressure, trapped in expectations. They have money, but no time, no peace, no joy. That's not freedom. Let me ask you, do you own your time or does someone else? Because time is the real currency. Let me give you a mindset shift. Poor mindset, I need to work to survive. Rich mindset, I build systems to buy back my time. Let me tell you something powerful. Freedom is when you wake up and choose what to do, not what you have to do. It's when your calendar reflects your values, not your obligations. It's when your income supports your dreams, not your stress. Let me ask you, are you living by design or by default? Because most people don't choose their life, they accept it. They follow the crowd, they do what's expected, they ignore their inner voice. But let me tell you something. You were not born to follow. You were born to lead your own life. Let me give you a simple formula. Step 1. Define your version of freedom. What does a free life look like for you? Step 2. Audit your current life. What's helping you get there? What's holding you back? Step 3. Eliminate what drains you. Toxic habits, toxic people, toxic beliefs. Step 4. Build what empowers you. Skills, systems, support. Step 5. Protect your time. Say no more often. Say yes with intention. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who worked 12 hours a day. He earned well, but he was tired, disconnected, unfulfilled. One day, he asked himself, what am I really chasing? He realized he didn't want more money. He wanted more time with his family, more space to create, more freedom to live. So he made changes. He downsized, he automated, he simplified. Today, he earns less, but lives more. That's real freedom. Let me ask you again, are you chasing numbers or are you chasing meaning? Because freedom is not about escaping work. It's about doing meaningful work on your terms. Let me end with this. You don't need to be rich to be free. You just need clarity, courage, commitment. So let me ask you one last time. Are you ready to stop surviving and start living? Because once you choose freedom, everything else aligns. Part 10. Start today. Let me ask you something. After everything we've talked about, money, mindset, systems, freedom, what will you do next? Because knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is. Let me tell you something powerful. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not luck, it's action. Let me explain. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be ready. You just need to begin. Let me give you a mindset shift. Poor mindset, I'll start when I'm ready. Rich mindset, I'll start and get ready along the way. Let me ask you, what's one small step you can take today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because momentum starts with movement, and movement starts with a decision. Let me give you examples. Write your first blog post. Record your first video. Create your first product. Reach out to your first customer. Read your first book. Save your first $10. Say no to your first distraction. These are small steps, but they lead to big change. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who dreamed of starting a business, but she was afraid. She waited, she planned, she hesitated. One day she decided to post a simple idea online. It got 1 like, then 5, then 50. She kept going. She built a brand. She built a life. It all started with one post. Let me ask you again. What's your first post? Your first step? Your first move? Because the journey doesn't begin when you're ready. It begins when you commit. Let me end with this. You've learned the principles. You've heard the stories. You've felt the fire. Now it's your turn. Your turn to act. Your turn to build. Your turn to lead. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for the right time. The right time is now. So let me ask you one last time. Are you ready to stop surviving and start living? Because once you choose freedom, everything else aligns. You've come this far. You've listened. You've reflected. You've felt the shift. Now it's time to take action. Because the journey to financial freedom, to personal growth, to true wealth doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice. And the first choice you can make right now is to stay connected with the knowledge that empowers you. If this message spoke to you, if even one idea sparked something inside you, then don't let it fade. Follow the path, join the movement, be part of a community that grows together. Subscribe to the Cerebro Wealth YouTube channel. Turn on notifications, share this video with someone who needs it. Because the future belongs to those who learn, who act, and who never stop growing. This is not the end, it's the beginning. Welcome to your next chapter. Welcome to Cerebro Wealth.